Hi, I'm Tyson with Aviation Adventures, and we're inside the hangar today, just beginning our off-season maintenance on all of the aircraft. Luckily this year, our lighting game has drastically increased thanks to Hyperlite LED lights. We recently installed all of their 150 watt radar series lights inside of our main hangar here. Prior to having these lights in here, it was a mishmash of random stuff. We had some corn lights, some LED lights, and then these orangish yellow, really low quality lights. I mean, the lighting in here was horrible. Not anymore though. Like I said, these are 150 watt lights, and our hangar is 50 feet wide and 120 feet long. We're working with what is already here as far as the electrical goes, and that consists of these 2 rows of lights. And in each row, there are 9 lights, so we have 18 total. From one wall of the hangar to the first row of lights is approximately 17 feet, and then we have about 17 feet between each row, and then from that last row to the other wall is again about 17 feet. And then from one end to the first light is approximately 12 feet, and then there's 12 feet between each light all the way to the other end of the hangar. We also have 14-foot ceilings inside of the hangar. Now, when I first started talking with Hyperlite, they were running their light simulations and saying that we should probably go with a 100-watt light. I'm really glad that we ended up going slightly brighter and doing a 150-watt light, because with my light meter, we're picking up about a 100-foot candle when we are standing in the center of all of these lights. If we start to go towards the walls, the light does diminish as we go out from the center of all of these lights. But they thought it would be a little bit too bright, and I definitely don't think that's the case at all. You can see behind me where there are some darker spots, again, as you go towards the walls. As long as we're in between all of the lights kind of down the center of the hangar, it's most definitely a 100-foot candle all day long. Now, what is a foot candle? It's a measurement of light. I'm not going to go into it, but when they are giving you their light simulations, that's kind of what everything's based off of. So when you see all these numbers on the simulation, it's all FC, and that's what I'm measuring when I go through the hangar to see actually what it did and what the difference is. Now for us, really the only thing that I feel like we could do to improve the lighting is to add another row of lights. So instead of having 17 feet between the rows, add one more and move them to more of that like 13-foot range. And I think that would really take care of these darker spots. But that's not a fault of the light. That's a fault of how the hangar was already wired in our scenario. I mentioned earlier how bad the lighting in here was, and prior to installing these lights, I took our light meter and walked around the hangar, and it was anywhere from 5 to 15 FC, and now we're getting 3 to 5 times that. I think our lowest that we have in the very corner, as dark as we can get, is about 35. And like I said, right in the middle of all of these lights where we're working and where these airplanes are, that's gonna range from about 100 to 104. We are extremely happy with that. It's not taxing on the eyes. We don't feel overwhelmed at the end of the day or that our eyes hurt or that we have headaches. For us and what we're doing with maintenance on the airplanes and really needing to be able to see everything clearly, I feel like 100 is a great spot to be. I would love to try 200. I'm not gonna buy all the lights to try it, but I would be very curious as to what a 200-watt light would look like in here if we just did everything like that. Obviously, a huge benefit to jumping up to lights like this is being able to see clearly. But another thing that we experience is a lower utility bill. So these use a lot less electricity than our old ones. Now this is going to depend on what you currently have in your area, but for us, with again that mishmash of lights, they weren't efficient at all. It was a little bit of an investment up front, but in the long run, we're going to get that money back just in the savings that we're seeing from our bills. From Hyperlite, these lights do come with a 120 volt plug on them. So if you have a receptacle, you can literally just plug it right in and it works. However, for us, we didn't have any of those outlets running in our ceiling. So I would have had to put all of those in and then plug them in. And then we would have had a lot of wiring just hanging there that I would have tied up. So for us, what I did is cut the end of the plug off, and then I just hardwired them directly into all of the wiring that is pre-existing in the ceiling. And when you do that, it is worth mentioning that you do void the warranty on the light. We've had these for 6 months, haven't experienced any issues. I don't foresee any issues in the future, so I'm okay with that. Once you cut that plug off, you have 3 wires, your neutral, hot, and ground. All of the receptacles from the old lights just consisted of a socket that the light screwed into. I removed those sockets and, like I said, just hardwired right into the pre-existing wiring that was in our ceiling. And then to hang it, I used the hook that the light came with, and then I screwed in hooks into the rafters that are on the other side of the metal, and then just hung the light directly on it. It works great that way. Another thing that we like about these lights is just how nice they look. We went with the black housing. They also offer a white housing. The black really pops with the white ceiling, and we think it looks super professional. Now, another thing that we did on 4 of the lights, and the reason that we did this on 4 is because of how the lights are wired. So we have a set of 4, and then 4, and then 2, and then 4, and 4. Those are all controlled on different light switches. So on the first 4 lights of the hangar, those are actually hooked up to their motion sensor. This is super easy. You just screw off a plastic cover that's in the center of the light and screw in their motion sensor. It takes 10 seconds. And from doing that, you now have a light that works with a motion sensor. In our hangar, the man door to get inside is at the front. And once you open that door, you have to walk about 10 feet to get to the light switch. The problem is that when it's in the morning or at night and it's still dark outside, when you open the door and you try to walk and find this light switch, it can be nearly impossible sometimes. Also, with that motion sensing feature, you can set a few different things. If your light is dimmable, you can set that. So you can actually set if you want it at 6500K or 2700K or a few others in between. Also, you can set how long you want the light to stay on once it picks up motion. So once it picks you up and it turns on, you can have it as low as 5 seconds and then it turns off, or you can go as long as 30 minutes, and then if it has never picked up anything in between that time, it will then shut itself off. That's been a really great feature for us, again, just because when I open that door in the morning, those lights come right on, and I don't have any trouble finding the light switch to then get all of the other lights in the hangar on. That first light that picks up the door opening is probably about 18 feet away from the door, and it doesn't have any issue picking up that and sensing the motion and turning on. I honestly wasn't sure when I got those 4 motion sensors how well they would work, but I was pleasantly surprised. Also, with the remote, you can turn them on and off very easily. You just stand underneath the light, point it directly at it, and you can control everything that that light has, such as, again, the sensitivity or the time or the intensity of the light. Very easy to do. And if you want to turn them off or on, again, it's an on-off button right on that remote, just standing underneath the light and pointing it directly at it. The one area that we found these lights didn't shine for our application was right in front of me is our workshop, and it only has 2 receptacles in it for lights, and putting the 250 watt lights there, the ceiling's only about 10 feet high. It really had a lot of dark spots in between those lights. Again, it wasn't so much the light's fault as it was what we were working with. If we were to put these lights in the workshop, we would need to space them closer together to try to avoid those dark spots between the lights. But honestly, what I want to do for the workshop is they also offer a honeycomb light. I would like to do the entire ceiling is honeycomb lights. That's where we're doing a lot of inspecting of parts. If we get it off the airplane, we're going over there. We're doing a lot of assembly over there, building stuff, tearing stuff apart. I want all the light that I can get. If it can be a 150-foot candle, that would be awesome. Hopefully we can do that lighting upgrade in the springtime. One thing that Callie and I talked about, especially right when we did this, is why didn't we do this sooner? We were going to Menards and buying these corn lights that were $90 a piece. That's not much different than these 150 watt lights. And we were screwing them in, and they didn't do a really good job. They just kind of throw light everywhere except what seems like where you actually want it. And we're like, why did we waste all the money on that stuff? Because these are not that much more expensive and do a way better job. The only difference is that instead of just screwing a light into a socket that already exists, we had to do a little bit of the rewiring. Not that big of a deal in the end though. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and we will get back to you. Also, if you have questions about your particular situation, reach out to Hyperlite. They are extremely helpful and they will run a light simulation for you and tell you exactly what you should expect and what size lights you should go with for your application. If you've made it this far and you found this video helpful, it would be awesome if you could use our affiliate link that's below if you're looking to purchase these lights. Also, you can get them on Amazon, and we have included that link below as well. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tyson with Agaviation Adventures.